Hello. This week we are talking about why you should get yourself off Instagram. My name's Anna Lagrange and I am one half of Baba Business, the Birth and Baby Business Academy.
Hi, my name's Liz and I am the other half of Baba. And welcome to today's podcast. Before we delve into this topic, can I just remind you to hit the subscribe button if you're listening to this on a podcast, or follow or subscribe. And if you're watching us on YouTube, we would love it if you would also subscribe to our channel, leave us a comment, so that we can keep doing this.
Yay. So, why are we telling people to get off Instagram, Liz?
I know. I mean, people
we love Instagram. Why would we tell people to get off it?
I know, we love Instagram. I know. I think when people see that title, get off Instagram, it's going to be, it might be a little bit confronting, but it's something I have to say to myself a lot of the time, because it's so addictive. And that is, the power of social media. But ultimately, what we want this episode to really communicate to people is that if you are putting all of your marketing efforts into Instagram to fill your in-person classes, then you need to look at diversifying your marketing strategy for sure, especially if it's not working and you're not getting people in your classes. So that's what we find, isn't it? That a lot of people, a lot of birth and baby business owners, spend a lot of time trying to craft the perfect post, and then they can feel quite disappointed when they put a post out there and they don't get anything back.
Yeah, so it's often people, they'll do a post about a service or something and then they haven't had any, interest, or maybe their Instagram's grown to maybe, 100, 150 people, but they've noticed that it's mostly professionals. It's not the parents that they want, and they're sort of feeling a little bit despondent about it. And so we always say that, especially if you've got an in-person service, it could be classes, it could be something else, it could be one-to-one, or maybe you're a doula and you work with people in their homes, whatever it is. You've got to have more than just Instagram for marketing your services. And actually the Instagram should definitely not be something that takes up a lot of your time, because for those services it is generally, especially when you're starting out, it is the in-person networking and helping people to know what you do in your local area that's really going to get you started and grow you in the beginning. But you should absolutely have an online presence, and Instagram is such a great free place to do that, isn't it? It's almost like having your own little website.
Yeah, definitely.
But like you said, I think people get really caught up with making posts that are perfect, as in the content's just right, or they want it to land just right. But you've got to think about it. Like, when was the last time you bought something after just seeing one Instagram post? Have you ever bought something after just seeing one Instagram post? I don't think I ever have.
I'm such a picky buyer. It takes me ages to make a decision. And I think, just going back to what you were saying about Instagram there, I think it's really important that people don't get confused listening to this podcast and think, oh, I don't need to be on Instagram. Like, actually, if your ideal clients hang out on Instagram, you do need a presence there. But what we're trying to get across is, please don't put all your eggs in one basket. Please don't think that just posting one post, like Anna was saying, is going to fill your classes. And please don't spend all of your precious time. We know you don't have very much time. So don't spend all your precious time just focusing on Instagram and getting sucked into the ether of the scroll yourself, which is what happens quite a lot. So you do need an Instagram strategy that suits you in terms of the time you have available, the type of business that you have. But we just want you to understand that if you're starting out and you're working in person, just please get out there in your local community and start making those connections, start building those relationships, because that's probably going to have a much quicker return in terms of clients than spending all your time focusing on Instagram. So it's about kind of creating that sort of balance and judging what's bringing you more in terms of clients and inquiries and connections, and then focusing more in on that aspect.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's good to look at Instagram as it's a tool. It's somewhere where if someone hears your name, or if they see a leaflet, for example, or a flyer, or they maybe they've heard someone else mention you, then they'll be like, oh, okay, let me look that person up on Instagram, and then they'll find all your great content. So that's where to think about it. It's not necessarily, that's where people might go and look you up and then start following you. It's really important, isn't it, to use Instagram as it is supposed to be used, which is like as a networking tool in itself. It's supposed to be a community building tool. Instagram wants us to be interacting with other people. They want us to be they want us to be social on there, because it's very easy again to just get very hooked into the sorts of people we're following. We've got to remember that if we want clients on Instagram, we've got to be engaging with those people as well. Does that make sense? You've got to be able to engage with those people for Instagram to actually show them your stuff. You've got to be so that's quite tricky, isn't it, in the birth and baby world, when parents are your ideal client or parents to be.
Yeah, because they might quite often have private profiles, but something that you can do, which we love, and I in particular really enjoy doing it, is breadcrumbing. So you can, when you're on Instagram or Facebook, is if you are let's say on Instagram, because that's what we're focusing on, but if you see a business who's maybe a larger organization than yours, and they've got a post and you love the post and you really resonate with it, go on there and comment on that post and like give your thoughts, give your ideas, be genuine about it. And then people who follow them will see, your business name, which hopefully is reflective of what you do. They'll see your comment, and your ideal clients will be like, oh, I really resonate with what they're saying. Let's take a look at them. Click on you and see that you are, a business providing whatever service it is in the birth and baby world. And so doing it that way, you're kind of like sprinkling the breadcrumbs and leading people to you, and that is worthwhile doing on Instagram. But again, don't get bogged down, don't get like stuck in a scroll hold. But what you can do to make the most of your time, if you can select to see when those particular businesses that you want to follow, who have a large following, you can set it so that you get a notification when they post. And so you can see when they post, have a look. If it resonates with you, comment, and you're just sprinkling those breadcrumbs. And let's say, you do that maybe spend 5 minutes a day doing that. Like don't, or not even a day, if that sounds overwhelming, like a couple of times a week, just to sprinkle those breadcrumbs around. So Instagram is more than just doing a post and running away, but it's also not the only thing that you should be doing, or it shouldn't be the thing that you're spending all your time on.
No, definitely. Or even I'd say most of your time, if what you do is in person. So the other things that we encourage you to do at Baba Business is, definitely you want to become the person in your local area that is known for what you do by anybody. So let's say you're a hypnobirthing instructor. The ideal is that in your local area, when mums are talking, or mums or parents to be are talking, and they're like, oh, how did you do your birth prep? They're like, oh, go and see Liz, or go and see Anne, or whatever. That's what you want. You want people to know your name at the local shops, the local cafe. You want people on their local Facebook groups be talking about you when people are looking for somebody who does your service. So the only way you can do that, and you can do that slightly on Instagram, but it's really important that you sort of talk about what you do with everybody that you see, and try and make connections with other businesses who are in a similar field. We've done other podcasts on this, so we won't go into it loads today, but that is probably one of the most important things you can do in the beginning when you're setting up, but also as you want to grow. And the other thing I think that's really important for people to know is that your Instagram stuff belongs to Meta. It doesn't really belong to you. And because of that, it's not particularly secure. So you could have 1 million followers, and yet your Instagram account could be taken down. It could be, anything could happen to that. And suddenly those people won't be able to see your content. So it's really important that you find a way for your business to build up, gathering contact details of, or ideally email addresses of, the people who are interested in what you do. So having some kind of email list building is really vital, and you can do that in person as well as online, making sure that you've got, and that means that you then have people to market to no matter what happens on Instagram.
Yeah, that is such a good point. It's it's horrible to think you spend so much time on these platforms and then they can just be taken away and you have to completely start from scratch when you've worked so hard. Like it's horrible. So when we're thinking about, I loved how you said, like, just tell everybody what you do and all that sort of stuff. That's so important. And sometimes we really shy away from it. Like, I've even done it myself, where someone says, what do you do? And I think, oh, can't be bothered to explain everything, So I might sort of shy away from it, not so much now, but definitely in the past. But what you need to do is get really comfortable with saying what you do and who you are, and say it proudly. So we did a post on Instagram last week where we invited people to comment with, like, what, introducing themselves and what they do. And it was so interesting to see all these different businesses and how people approach that and what they say about themselves and their business. And so getting familiar and feeling comfortable and confident doing that, I think is really important, so that when you do have an opportunity to network or to meet new people, that it just comes out and it feels normal and natural.
Yeah, something that we did in a post about some of our more, I don't want to say embarrassing, because we don't regret any of it, but some of the kind of out there things that we cringe, that's the word, cringe things that we've done to promote our businesses. And something that really comes to mind for me, which I think is possibly something that other people miss when they're setting on a business, is I became really involved in my local community group. Got a bit activist around it, and we worked anything to do with the children's centres. When they were looking at closing the children's centres, I got involved with that, and like would go to the marches and just like met parents, met other people, got to know them. I got involved in some like local breastfeeding stuff as well. So really just finding out like what is going on in your community for young families or expectant families, like what services are available to them there, where are the gaps, like where can you be a loud voice, if you like, in your local communities, that people know who you are. The other thing I did, for which I found, I'm going to be honest, I found it incredibly hard. I didn't do it very much, but I went and volunteered sometimes, or went along to the MPV meetings. So that's your midwifery voices partnership meetings for the local NHS trust. And anyone, as far as I know, anyone can go to those, especially if you work in the field. They usually welcome other people. And again, it was just getting to know other people in my line of work, getting my name out there. Obviously, if anything about breastfeeding came up, I could kind of share my thoughts. So that's another way. So there's all sorts of forums and things like that around that you can get involved in, that again is going to help. Look, these are things you have to do for free, and they take up your time, but it can be such a great way to let people know who you are and what you're offering.
Yeah, definitely. So any opportunities to speak or to get on podcasts, these are all like great things to start spreading awareness of who you are and what you do. So you start seeking those things out. I mean, it might be going into somebody else's Facebook group. Like, let's say that there's a local pregnancy yoga teacher, and she has a Facebook group, and maybe what you offer could really support and help her clients. So likelihood is she's going to have a Facebook group or a following or something on Instagram. So that would be a great opportunity to do an Instagram live or go in her group and do a Facebook live. Those are times when you can really make the most of being on Instagram, where you're still targeting those in-person people. But brilliant if you get to go and speak in person at somebody's class or at a free event or anything like that. Like, look out for those opportunities, or if you can't find those opportunities, create them. Reach out to people and say, hey, I love what you do. I offer this. Do you think maybe we could collaborate in some way? And building those kind of relationships are like just amazing for birth and baby businesses.
Yeah, we had a couple of members who decided to just invite all of their local birth and baby business people to a lunch or a coffee or something, and they had absolutely loads of people come, and it's such a great. First of all, it stops the work being quite so lonely, because it can be a bit lonely, can't it? Sometimes work for yourself, but also just building that network and letting people know what you do is invaluable. And like Liz said, you can do it in person, but you can do it online as well. It's just this stuff, I can't reiterate enough, this stuff, this connecting with people, is so much more important than creating a viral post, for example. You know what I mean? It really is that real in-person communication. I mean, we've had a couple of posts that have gone viral-ish. And honestly, the people who have seen them, who love them, are not our customers. They're very far from our customers. So they're almost like, in a way, it's been nice. It's been good because it's helped Instagram share our stuff more. So it's good for the algorithm. But as far as getting sales and that kind of, no, it has not, directly fed into sales at all. So I think we get so kind of obsessed with numbers, with followers, with, how many likes, how many views, and those statistics can be useful, but it's so much more about these real relationship building, real conversations with real people, and that's the smart way to use Instagram. And I thought we could finish up sort of talking about, okay, so people, they knew they need to use Instagram. How can they make it really quick and easy for themselves so they're utilising it in a smart way so that they can spend the time doing these other things in their business that we've been talking about?
Yeah, so, well, we just happen to have a freebie, which is a 30-day social media scheduler. And I just wanted to let everybody know that we actually use this as well. Like, we use this to help formulate our own Instagram strategy. Even if you're just using it for ideas, if you don't want to follow the entire structure, it's so important, I find, for me personally, to have somewhere to start. Because if you sit down to do social media, for some people, it can feel really overwhelming. It's like, well, there's so much I could talk about, or actually, I've got no ideas. So when you've got something to help you that is like a guide, I think it just makes things go much quicker, and you can create the graphics, create a bit of copy to go on it, schedule it. Bingo bongo, there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything you can do to make it really, really easy. And something else we were talking about is, we've heard it's going to be quite a trend for this year, is to really utilise stories. And the nice thing about stories is they don't necessarily need a lot of thought. You can just pop on and we know that, like us, your business is in your head all the time.
Yes.
And so really, anytime you're thinking about parents, classes, what's going on out there in the birth world, just say it out loud in your stories. Let people get to know you. And you can share your personal stuff as well. I use my Mindful Breastfeeding School stories a lot just for what's going on with me. People love it. People are nosy. You don't have to be sharing lots of stuff about your kids or your kids' faces or any of that kind of stuff. But, just what you're up to. People love it. Any of that kind of stuff. So I think ideas for stories are really useful as well. And that is quite a quick and easy way to use Instagram in a way that's you're not going to be sitting there for ages thinking, oh my God, what am I going to share? Because you can really just share what's ever on your mind.
Yeah, I know, but to be fair to people listening to this might be going, oh, that's all right for you, Anna. You've been doing this for years. This feels really scary to me. And I understand that. I used to hate stories, and now I just find it really easy. I'm so much more relaxed with it. But even right at the beginning of Baba, I was saying to you, oh, I hate stories. But now I'm like, you can't get me off there. It's a great way to connect with people. So I think the trick with stories is just to get started, and then you get into a bit of a rhythm. And it just feels so much easier. It's like with everything. Once you get one, try not to feel too like people are judging you or watching. Well, they are watching you, but that people are judging you or criticizing you. It's there for 24 hours and then it's gone, never to be recovered again. You can always delete it as well if it was proper cringe, but just get going with it and just try not to care too much about what people might think, because the likelihood is that they aren't thinking what you think they're thinking. Like, you can't possibly imagine what goes on in other people's heads. So just try to let that go.
One of the other nice things about stories, and I said we weren't going to talk about Instagram too much on here, but here I am talking about it. One of the things I love about stories, when you've got under 10,000 followers, you can't do a swipe up, but you can link on stories. So any post that you do, or any time you want to share an offering, you can just do a direct link straight there in stories. So in some ways, stories are great for that, because it means that people can be it gives people a really easy way to book with you. Because they'll just watch your stories and it's just like book. So just do a lovely call to action and give them a link, and then they don't have to go and find your bio and all this kind of stuff. And people love a lazy way to book, don't they? So and you can really share a post on your stories every single day leading up to something starting, and that's an extremely quick and easy way to be putting content out there that literally takes seconds.
Yeah, definitely. Great. Well, thank you everyone for listening or watching. I hope that you found this episode useful. As ever, we will be back with another episode next week. But what we wanted to just mention at the end of this podcast is that you'll be listening to this when it drops on Monday the 15th, and we have our first ever planning session on the 16th of January, which is called Baby Steps to Big Profits, and that is going to be a great session to help you get clear on 2024, set your goals for the year, set your goals for the quarter. We've got it all planned out and we're dead excited about it. So there's still the opportunity for you to book onto that if you're listening to this on Monday or early Tuesday morning UK time. We'll put a link in the show notes so that you can check it out. But we'd love to see you there.
We would, and don't forget to share and subscribe our podcast and YouTube so that we can share this stuff with as many people as possible. And we'll see you all next week. Bye.
Yay. Bye.